Hi everyone, Dr. Kennedy here, and I'm going to review some AP material with you. So get ready. Okay, this is an AP stats problem from 2018. Number 1, A. So they want us to identify and interpret the estimate of the intercept, right? So you'll remember that the equation of a line, in statistics anyway, is y hat equals a plus bx. The a is the y-intercept. And from a table of computer output, that's the coefficient of the constant, all right? So in this case, it's 72.95 plus the coefficient of whatever the x variable is going to be the slope, right? Which in statistics is b, which I understand that's confusing because it's different from algebra. So here's the complete equation of this line when we put those two together. They just want the intercept, though. So we're going to explain in context what the 72.95 represents, right? So I'm going to write down the intercept is 72.95. And the y-intercept is what you get when x equals 0, right? And here the x variable is the number of customers in line. So when there are 0 other customers in line, the y variable is 72.95, which what was the y variable? That was the time in seconds to check out, right? So when 0 customers are in line, the time it takes in seconds to check out is about, or is predicted to be, 72.95, right? This equation is a model, a predictive model. So you never want to say that the y value is exactly equal to something. It's y with a hat on it, so it's a predicted or estimated value. So be very clear in your language when you write your response to a question. And make sure you use units. Context is everything on the AP exam. So that's part A. Let's take a look at part B. So B wants us to identify and interpret the coefficient of determination, which is r squared. There it is. 73.33%, right? So we have to understand what that means. So that's the r squared. By the way, if they asked for r, you would square root it, and then you would give it the sign of whatever the slope is. So if the slope is positive, r is positive. If slope is negative, the r is negative. All right, so here's what the coefficient of determination means. About 73.33% of variation in the y variable, which was checkout time. We're going to say that that's the percent or proportion of variation that's explained by our linear model. And you can use the word explained or accounted for. All right, so I'm going to say about 73.33% of variation in checkout time is accounted for by the LSRL. And you can use that abbreviation on the AP, but I'm going to write it out fully. Least square regression line. Okay, and it's called the least squares regression line because the squares of the residuals are minimized in the process for coming up with that equation, which we rarely do by hand because the calculator will do it for you. And the formula, if you want to do it by hand, if you want to have some fun, is on the reference table. So you could do that, but you'd be insane to do that. So anyway, notice how I'm using the context. I'm mentioning the units. I'm not just saying X and Y. You have to use context to get full credit, all right? That's my tip of the day. And that's going to be your answer for part B. So far, so good. Let's take a look at part C. So part C is asking us to identify an outlier. There it is. It's pretty easy to see. There's one clear outlier here. Although we don't have statistical evidence it's an outlier, but they told us there is an outlier. That's the one with the largest residual in this graph, right? So the definition, the stats definition for an outlier is a point that lies outside the general pattern of the rest of the data. And on a scatter plot, it's the point that has an unusually large residual compared to the other points, all right? And after I answer this question, I want you to compare it to the way that you worded your response, and I want you also to look up the 2018 scoring guidelines and look at the rubric, because the wording and the language is very specific, and you might only get partial credit if you don't say something exactly the way that they want you to say it. Not word for word, but they want you to include certain elements. So I'm being really deliberate here about the way I word this. I'm saying there's a large residual compared to the other data values. Hey, thanks for spending some time reviewing with me. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time. May the math be with you.